Welcome to the Especially for Athletes podcast, where we explore essential principles that empower athletes to learn life's most valuable lessons through sports.
Hello, everybody. Today on the Especially for Athletes podcast, we are honored to be joined by someone whose story embodies resilience, focus, and the power of going all in. We have Ashton Lunt, formerly Ashton Riner, and Ashton is the 2022 NCAA national champion in the javelin. And she did that at Brigham Young University and was the first in BYU history to earn that title. She grew up in Connell, Washington, and started throwing the javelin as a young girl under her dad's coaching. From her early success in high school to overcoming a major elbow injury in college, Ashton's path has been defined by determination, resilience, and relentless drive to keep improving. What makes Ashton's story so compelling isn't just her national title, it's the mindset behind it. She knows what it takes to push through setbacks, stay focused on long-term goals, and find new motivation when things don't go as planned. Whether she's training, competing, or mentoring others, Ashton brings an energy and perspective that inspires those around her. And we're so excited to have her on our podcast today to talk about her journey, the lessons she's learned. And Ashton, thank you. We are so excited to learn from you today. Thanks for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah. Well, so we've had a few national champions on our podcast, but not many. Okay. And so that's awesome. It's an honor to have you on. What was that like? Maybe start us off there. What was it like to win a national championship in college?
I get asked this question a lot, and I never know how to kind of like respond to it. And I always say it felt like a huge weight just kind of lifted off my shoulders. Like, I did it. Like, I accomplished something huge. And then people were like, but like, was it cool? Was it awesome? I'm like, it really was just like a weight, like lifted off my shoulders immediately. It was awesome.
Yeah. So when you must have gone in then ranked pretty highly with some expectations that might be the case if you felt the weight come off. Like,
yes.
So maybe like the men's basketball team feels going into this basketball year at BYU,
yes.
Right? Like
very
a lot of expectations.
Yes.
So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So all of us think it's this like beautiful, like celebratory moment, and you're feeling like, oh, pressure's
Yeah.
on.
You would think like people are like, oh my gosh, like were you just on a high? Afterwards, yes. But like in the moment when I was in the stadium, it was just like, oh my gosh, like I could faint because of how much weight was on my shoulders. But after that, I didn't sleep all night. Like I had a breakfast with the AD, all the coaches, my parents, everyone. And I didn't sleep. I stayed up until like 9 o'clock, and they're like, did you sleep good? I said, I haven't went to bed. So it was awesome. It was awesome.
That's really cool. And was that at Oregon?
Yes.
That's where they crowned the national champion, right?
Yes.
So cool. Well, congratulations, first of all. I know it was 2022, and a lot of people have congratulated you, but that is quite an incredible feat. So since then, you've done even more incredible things. I didn't mention in your bio, so you have a child, right?
Yes. Yes.
Already. Yeah. And one on the way.
Yes.
And you're married. And did you marry a BYU football player?
Yep, I did.
Awesome. And so tell us about your child.
I have a little girl named Jersey. I actually, I was pregnant with her at nationals my senior year. Didn't know. We had no idea, but I was pregnant with her. She's a year and a half. And then we're expecting another little girl in March.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I am a girl dad, 3 daughters. And so, I was always hoping for a boy, but then I could tell your husband right now that he's going to be treated very well throughout his life. Daughters seem to really treat their dads well.
Yes.
So,
and he knows it. He
that's
knows
awesome.
it.
Those might be your greatest accomplishments. And it's not easy, is it? Like you're dealing with all the morning sickness and everything right now, of everything going on. Good on you for that. You're amazing for that.
Thank
That's
you.
better than a national championship.
100%. I agree.
Awesome. Well, I want to delve into some of our principles and get your thoughts from your own journey and your perspective. I sent you some things beforehand, but we talk about something called win the hour. And when we say win the hour, we think win the day is kind of, it's almost too broad, right? Because when you're an athlete and a student and a friend and all of these things in high school or college, things shift from hour to hour. And it's a great skill to be able to take your energy and your motivation and everything that you have and be able to shift it to the most important thing during that next hour.
Yes.
And
Yes.
doing that, we call winning the hour, right? And we encourage our young people to go 16-0. You should get 8 hours of sleep. And so each hour of each day, win that hour. So I'm really interested in what, like a javelin thrower at BYU who's a student, who's dating, who has friendships, who has all these things going on. How did you do that? How did you put your energy toward the most important thing at the time and time manage everything? What are some of the principles that guided you through that?
Yeah. So it wasn't easy at first. As a freshman, I had no idea. Going in, I was like, how am I going to do this? I was super overwhelmed. I had really, really bad anxiety. And I like to, anything I do, I will go 100%. So in the moment, in that hour, whether it was studying, I would not think about track. I would not think about throwing. I would not think about relationships. I can't think about home, how homesick I was. I would think about school in that hour. And then once I got, and again, I had such bad anxiety, especially my freshman year. But what helped me was when I was in track, and we had a track block of like 3 to 4 hours. When I was in that hour of throwing, I didn't think about the outside world. I just thought about my cues for throwing and what I needed to get done. And it really helped me set aside the world from what I'm doing in that moment. And people ask me a lot, they're like, how did you do it? Because college and I mean, I'm LDS. And so I wanted to date and get married. And so I really had to just what I'm doing, I'm putting 100% towards it in that hour. So I love that you say win the hour because I was through and through what I'm doing. I will be 100% committed to it in that hour.
Yeah. And how did you make that? Because some people, I think, like that philosophy makes sense to them, but maybe there's some skills that you did that helped you kind of, okay, I'm going to shut out the outside world. Did you have anything that you did to do that?
Yes, I am a firm believer in journaling. There's a guy. His name's Craig Manning. He's amazing. And he talks about journaling. And so, well, for school, I'll say school, I would start off with a prayer. And that would just set my mind to school and say, please help me study. Please help me focus. Bad ADHD. I have bad ADHD. So then we go back to the journaling. So I get done with that. And right before every practice, I sent a video to my dad of me just scrolling a screen recording of my phone. And it's a journal saying what I'm going to do that day. And it shifts me over to track. And it says, I will throw this. I will do this today. I am Ashton Riner. It was at the time. Ashton freaking Riner. I will throw this. And then it would set me in the zone and focus on that. And then once I was done with that, I would kind of do something to shift into the real world. But yeah, definitely there has to be like a hard line for me to shift into the next thing that I'm going to focus on.
So you had that routine every day, like on your phone, you had some things written on your phone that you would read every day that helped you shift into Ashton Riner, the javelin thrower.
Yep.
Right.
Whether it was on my phone, I had to write it. So like it was the same thing every day besides like 3 cues that I was going to work on that day. But every day I would write on my phone or write it down in a journal. If I didn't have the journal that day, that's when it was on my phone. Every single day. I thrive on a routine. Anybody that knows me, I have to stick to a routine. So the journaling was great for me.
Awesome. Would you mind sharing? Did you already share what those three things were? Because I'm sure you've committed. You said you had the same three things and then your
Yes.
cues for the day. Would you
Yes.
tell us what the three things were? And then what was give us an example of cues for the day for someone who might be listening to
Yeah.
this going, I need help with this.
Uh-huh.
Those cues might actually, what those look like might help.
Yeah. So something that I did. So you're again, Craig Manning, your brain doesn't process negative. So I never said, I will not do this. I always said, I will do this. So I said, I will throw 60 meters. I will hit my weights. I will, it was like throw far. There was like these three things I should really, I have them. And then,
That's great.
and then and then I would say three cues. So cues in javelin, I'll hit my block. I will stay back. And then another one, I will. Again, no negatives. And then the last one is I am freaking Ashton Riner. My coach said it one time my freshman year and it kind of stuck. And I was like, I'm a Riner. Like you take pride.
That feels good.
Yeah, you take pride in your last name. It's something that you carry with you through your whole life. I mean, I'm a Lunt now, but it's something my dad would say growing up too. And so it kind of fired you up. So that's the last thing I would put. And then I'd go to practice and it really shifted my mind every day.
That is super cool and so helpful to do that. I love how specific you were with that. Because a young person right now who is going in, whether it's we have a lot of drill girls, we have a lot of basketball players, all sports, but my daughters did drill and college dance. And so, every now and then they're sitting there, they're in the moment, they're in the practice. And it's like they're still worried and burdened by all of these things. And I think they would love not to be, but you just gave us a way that Craig Manning trained you on, right? That really helped you make that shift and leave those things behind so that you could focus on throwing the javelin.
Yeah.
And then,
go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go.
Okay. Craig Manning actually has a journal. I highly recommend everyone go look him up. I think he's on YouTube and some of his discussions are on YouTube, but he has a journal and it's like little things to write about your day, what you're going to do before practice, after practice, and then your thoughts. And then I brought that journal out to practice. And if I kind of my mind kind of shifted a little, I would go straight to my journal and you'd write it down real quick and kind of get your mind back into focus. Or I go out into the field on the side. So we have a runway and then we go out to the side and I refocus my brain and then we're allowed to come back to the runway because you can get very frustrated with javelin and I'm sure dance. High school, let's be real. You think the world is going to end in high school with any little inconvenience. So I really think journaling, coming back to just yourself and not the world and not social media, come back to that journal. Write down what you're struggling with and how you're going to fix it. And that's why I think journaling is huge. And I wish I knew that in high school.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. Not that you knew it, that I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said something that you had to do something intentional because when we say win the hour, we aren't just talking about sports. We're talking about make sure you're taking care of the classroom, make sure you're taking care of your relationships and everything else.
Yes.
You said you had to do something intentional to shift back to the world outside of throwing the javelin. Can you give us an example of what that looks like to shift back to the world?
Yeah. So luckily for me, I have amazing team. We were all best friends. We would go from the track into the weight room. And I thought that's the same atmosphere, honestly. Hype, awesome. And then me and my teammates, we would go get treatment after and we'd hot tub and ice bath. And that was like my social hour, stress gone because we're just socializing in a hot tub. Like how fun is that? And that's kind of my transition, honestly, like relaxing. I'm not throwing, I'm not doing track, or weights or no, school, sorry. And then what I usually do is I'd go up to the SAB, I'd go into like a quiet corner and kind of lay out my stuff, kind of take a deep breath and say, okay, this is what I'm focusing on next. So I would have just me time, I think, to transition into school because we had school and then track, 3-4 hours of track, and then me time, a little bit of me time, and then you go right into school because you have to study, right? So I think it was just me time and then sitting down, taking a breath and going. Yeah.
Yeah. I found people who are super successful like yourself. It seems that they're very intentional about their transitions.
Mm-hmm.
And taking that time. I imagine you in the SAB there, the student athletic building,
Yeah.
right?
Sorry. Yes. SAB.
No, that's great. And you're up in the corner and you're just taking time and you're sitting there catching your breath and saying, okay, I'm not going to let life happen to me. What do I want to do next? Like, I'm going to catch my breath and be intentional about this next hour. And if we don't take that step, it's easy to, as Justin Sua said, he says this thing we relay to kids a lot, that if you aren't intentional about transitions, he says you live a life by default instead of a life by design.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you take a minute and plan the next step and say, okay, what do I want to accomplish in this next step? And then you attack that, then you live a life by design and not by default. And you seem to happen to life and go after your goals instead of just hoping they're going to happen. So
yeah.
Awesome. Ashton, that's awesome.
Thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you. Keep going. Yeah. What would you say?
I was going to say, people that know me, if they listen to this, they're going to be like, Ashton, you messed around the SAB a lot, which I did. But I will say I'm an early bird. I wake up at 4:30 every morning still to go and get my workout in. But I would wake up at 6 a.m. and get a lot of my studying done. So from waking up, transitioning straight into school is what I personally did. I think getting everything done in the morning is just so much better. Like, I really do. So that's what I did. So if anybody listens, they're like, Ashton, we remember you in college. I got my stuff done. Okay.
That's great. But also, Ashton, I mean, that, we do need time to decompress, right? We need time to laugh and to be with people and to just be present and put these down, right?
Yes.
And to look people in the eyes and to laugh with people and to have relationships. When we're intentional about that, and this is my time to do that, I've paid a price early in the morning, so now I can laugh with and be, that's a very important part of life. And I think if we're tightly strung all the time, we'll lose our spring, right?
Yes.
We'll lose that. So
burnout.
That's
definitely.
awesome. Great. Do you mind if we move to another topic here?
Let's do it.
And thank you for that. That was incredible. And so I know you've been through a lot of things. You've been through injuries, and you opened up a little bit about an eating disorder that you dealt with through college. We teach young people the importance of resilience, of bouncing back from difficulty. And I'm sure you faced that in a number of ways throughout your journey, from that little teeny girl with the dad putting a javelin in her hand to where you are now with all the success that you've had and the wonderful life you've created for yourself. What have you learned that has helped you be resilient and overcome those difficulties in your life? And if you wouldn't mind, I would love if you would tell your story a little bit about your battle with an eating disorder and what you learned from that and how you came back from it, because I think it would help a lot of people.
Yeah. There was a couple things I learned first with resilience is, first off, I thought track was my whole world, my whole purpose, my whole meaning, my identity. It's not. I have a daughter now, and she is my purpose, and a husband. They're both like my purpose. And I will say my daughter's my identity now, and I love her so much. But a little about me, I have 7 siblings. My parents, they're amazing. They're pretty small people, I will say. My mom's a little petite. My dad was like tiny. And he played college football, and he was small too. All my siblings are pretty small, petite. Growing up, I was the bigger kid. I just was. It was crazy how we had all these kids. Like, my parents had all these kids, and then I was the bigger one. I was told it all the time. People would say at church, "Oh, you're pretty big for a Riner." Like, it was crazy. Shout out to my mom, though. She never said anything to me about my eating, nothing. So my mom was amazing about it. Coming to high school, I don't think I shared this in my Deep Blue, but I look back and I just remember I never ate. When I say I never ate, I would wake up about, I think it was like 5:30. I'd go feed the pigs, wake up my dad and say, let's go. And I might have something to eat. Maybe a protein shake. Then I would go and I would lift weights for an hour before school. And then I had weights right after. And then and I would eat nothing. Then I would get to lunchtime and I might have food, might not. If I was starving, I would text my dad and say, hey, can you get me a salad from the cafeteria? Like this was rare that I would do that. So I'd not eat then. And then I was a 3-sport athlete, which with a lot of cardio. I played soccer, which is ton of running, played basketball, ton of running, and track. And I was a runner too. So then I would go through all of those and I wouldn't eat all day. And I don't know how I didn't pass out. Like, I really don't. And again, I was already a thicker girl. And so I feel like people they would have never known. I was overweight. I remember my doctor kind of saying something to my mom when I was in 6th grade. I was overweight. I was really big. And then I remember getting to like 8th grade, coming back, and I just grew. I think it was like 4 to 5 inches. And I got really skinny. Started high school sports. That's when I still didn't see that I got skinny because I was big, so I would never eat. And I would go through practices and I had no energy. That was super hard. So it started at a very, very early age and it was not good. I believe I could have been insane in high school if I would have just ate in regards to like throwing. You need muscle, right? I was lifting so much and I wasn't really getting that much stronger. but I just wasn't eating. I'd have protein shakes, but then I'd go home and my mom had a dinner. And so I'd eat dinner and I'd go to bed. So I definitely ate dinner every night. My mom had a nice cooked meal every day. Got to college. And, so in high school, I was really good. I won state my senior year, have this state record, which is great.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. My little brother has a state record for the javelin. People don't know I'm a javelin thrower. My dad told me that I was going to be a thrower, said I wasn't going to be a runner. I was still a runner, but it was just great. He saw my potential. So told me I was going to throw at BYU, which is awesome. He told me when I was 8 years old, which is great. So then, which is crazy for a dad, right? Like he kind of just knew my potential. That would have been awesome just to tell your daughter, what you're going to do. So I got a scholarship to BYU. And this is kind of where the eating took a really big toll, plus my anxiety didn't help. Got really depressed, really anxious. My freshman year, I tried to get help, and I tried to actually go to a therapist, a counselor, and I got one of the students, which was hard. I don't think they understood like the severity of like what I was going through. Anyways, my freshman year, I did really well. I started eating good. We have a place called Legends. It's like an all you can eat, like steak, fish, chicken, everything. I started eating pretty good. It was awesome. I threw 172 and placed 11th in the nation my freshman year. Awesome, right? I go into my sophomore year and my very first throw of my sophomore year, I was at U of A and I tore my UCL, which if people don't know, it's a famous baseball pitcher injury. I have a scar. It's pretty cool. I tore my UCL and I was done for the rest of the year. A lot of people don't come back as fast as I did. I pushed super hard. It was like a 1.5 year recovery. And I came back in like 9 months, pushed super hard. The day before we left to our first competition, COVID happened. And so like I pushed my body so hard to get back. COVID happened, right? So freshman year did great. Sophomore year, first throw, tore my UCL. Red shirt sophomore year, COVID happened. So we're like, okay, we go home. And then I think I met my husband that year. I met my husband. Great. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome.
Huge
Love
positive.
him. Love him so much.
Yeah.
Me and him started dating. And for some reason, we come back. And my junior year is when my eating disorder came back fully. I will be completely transparent. I got on birth control. I'm about to get married, right? Got on birth control. It completely messed me up. I was doing better with my eating disorder, but I got on birth control and I felt numb. Like I had no feeling whatsoever. I'm talking like, I'm like, do I love my husband? Like, this is so weird. So track came around and I just kept losing weight. I didn't care to eat. And so that year I started pretty good and then it just kept declining and no one knew what was happening. I didn't want to speak about it. I felt so embarrassed, like so embarrassed. I didn't want to tell them, oh, I got on the pill and now I don't feel myself, which a lot of girls do. And afterwards, my coach was like, why didn't you tell me? It's like, what? Why would I? Like, I didn't want to go to you. I did go to someone. They told me, get over it. They told me to get over it. It wasn't a coach. It was not a coach, I will say. So that year, again, I was ranked 11th my freshman year, right? And so redshirt COVID sophomore year comes around. I get on the runway at regionals and I feel nothing, which, if you know me, I thrive off of like, adrenaline. And I was like, oh my gosh, let's go, let's go. I step on that runway and I feel nothing. Like, I'm like, Ashton, like yelling at myself, Ashton, you know how to throw, like what's going on? And I did so bad. I did so bad. I remember just like crashing after that meet and just, I never wanted to show my face again on a track because I was really good and people are like, what happened to her? Like, people could blame it on the surgery. No, everyone that knew me knew it was my eating disorder and how skinny I was. I like to throw at 160 pounds. I am 5'9" and I love to have muscle and I like to be at 160 pounds when I threw. I was 138 pounds. So I had nothing to carry me. And that was a really scary time. I remember my husband's like, what's wrong with you? And I finally told him, I was like, I don't feel anything. Like, I want to feel again. I don't feel anything. He's like, and I was like, and I don't want to eat. Like, I do not care to eat. I had no appetite. So he's like, what are we going to do? I want you to track what you're eating. We tracked it. And at the end of the day, I was at 700 calories. That should be your breakfast.
Wow.
Right? That should be your breakfast.
Especially with all that you were doing physically and everything else.
Yeah. But I had no idea because in high school, I could do weights in the morning. I didn't have to eat. And then I would go to soccer, basketball, track practice. I was doing a lot more running back then. Anyways, I switched up my medication. I started tracking. I tried to get help, right? And sadly for me, this is not everyone's experience. I didn't get the help I needed from those people. So I'm someone that's like, okay, I'm going to just do it on my own. I laughed when I saw the questions you sent me. It's like your eyes up. What was it again that we were talking about? What is it? Eyes up, right?
Work. Yeah.
My motto was, I'm going to put my head down. So eyes down, but I'm going to put my head down and just work. I don't care what people look like. I don't care what they think I look like. I'm not fat. I know I'm not fat, even though my eyes, body dysmorphia, see that. And I really just went to work. I went to the gym and I was in there for hours and I was squatting till failure. I started taking creatine and my max in squat was like 185 pounds. And by the time school came around, so like summer ended, I was squatting that for like 10. Like, it was insane how much improvement I made. I remember coming back and everyone's like, whoa, like she's different. She's really different. Again, I just put my head down and worked. I know I had a lot of talent. My coach Johanny told me, you're something special. Like, you really are. So sorry, this is longer than I thought it would be.
This is awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing this.
So I kind of have my eating disorder in check, which I want people to know. Sadly, it never goes away. As much as I want it to go away, I still struggle to this day. I'm pregnant and I'm still struggling, but I kind of got it under control for that year. And I just said, I'm going to eat what I want. I needed to gain weight. I got my metabolism. I totally crashed my metabolism in high school. So I had to build back up. By the end, I was eating 4,000 calories a day, which is kind of like a mind,
yeah.
But I needed it. And I looked great. Like, I looked amazing. I was the strongest I'd ever been. And that year I won the national championship. Like, I worked my butt off. And I remember stepping on that runway and like feeling this like, oh, there it is. Like, there's my competitiveness. Like, there's the fire that Ashton knows. And that's the feeling I wanted that previous year, you know? And so, yeah, freshman year did great. Sophomore year, tore my UCL. Then COVID happened. Then junior year, eating disorder, medication, everything crashed. Then junior year. So I didn't even make it to nationals that year, by the way. What was it? My sophomore year. Didn't even make it to nationals. I went from not making it to nationals to winning the national championship within a year.
Wow.
That takes a lot of work. I'm very humble about it, but it was also like the people close to me knew how much work it was. And I really didn't do anything but school and javelin and focus on my relationship. That's all I had time for.
Yeah.
But that's all I wanted. And then the following year, I just had so many injuries. So I didn't do as well. I made it to nationals, which is great. But again, it's just injury after injury. I was pregnant, didn't know that one. But by that time, I was like, I won a national championship. I've done all these things. I have overcome so much. I cried a lot because of how it ended, but I was so proud of myself for like just overcoming all these obstacles and being able to say I was national champion. So yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Thanks for sharing that journey. Can I delve into it just a little bit?
Sorry, it was so long.
No, that was so awesome. Honestly, thank you for sharing that with us. I think it'll help a lot of people who look up to people like you and think, I have a little bit of familiarity with eating disorders and things like that. There are so many people who look at those who are going through those things and they say, it's almost like you're tempted to say, oh, just snap out of it.
Yeah.
Like, you're beautiful, you're wonderful. But it's so real to that person.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, when you think back to that moment and you think of some key things, decisions you made, like things that were within your power to overcome just that downward spiral that could have become. And it's always there, and it's something I'm sure you'll manage, like you talked about. But were there a few things that really helped you that might be helpful to someone else who's listening to this or has a child listening to this and thinking like, oh my gosh, I think maybe I know what's going on with my own daughter? What are some keys that helped you to overcome?
The biggest one we talked about already is the journaling. The journaling helped me so much. And I think that kind of led into, I cared so much about what people thought of me. I hated it. We have a saying in my house. It's a sign that says, comparison is the thief of all joy. And I compared myself so much. And I really do think because of social media these days, kids compare themselves to others so often. And that's what I was doing. And so in my journal, I put, I'm on my own journey. I'm my own self. Who cares what people think? I was so embarrassed, might I add. I was so embarrassed that I did not make it to nationals. Like, I didn't even want to look at my teammates. But then I said, who cares? Half these people can't even make it to what I did. People can't even make it to regionals. So I really took in my victories. Like, you really have to take in your victories. I journaled my victories, and I really think that was a turning point. It was kind of just listing out everything that I'm doing right. I said, I'm going to stop comparing myself. And I just started writing everything down. I really did.
Yeah. That's so awesome. That comparison is such a danger right now. In fact, having 3 daughters myself, one thing I've tried to instill in them, kind of 2 things that help. And one is just concentrate on the vertical relationship with God, right?
Yes.
That He's steady, and people around you, especially sometimes girls, guys too, but sometimes girls, there's like this it's all comparison and competition and where you are on the ladders of worldly success, and people are fine to bring you down if they can. And when you're looking horizontal for validation, you're going to feel very unvalidated and your worth's going to take a hit. When you look vertical for validation, then the right things, those things that you were writing in your journal, those are the things that matter. And other people's opinions, you almost kind of become bulletproof a little bit to people's opinions when you're focusing on being your best self. In fact, in our first book, we wrote this: seek to be your best, not the best.
Yes.
And one of the things about that is, it's like when you're constantly comparing yourself, instead of not to everyone else, instead of just who you were yesterday, then it's like you give your self-esteem over to, it's subject to other people's opinions.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. So I agree.
Yeah, that's super powerful. Thank you for sharing that. Anything else on your mind that you're like, oh, I would really want to say this to young people?
Yeah, even in high school, you share a locker room, right? I shared this before, but I shared a locker room with volleyball, soccer, gymnastics, I think. Yeah, and then the whole track team, which I will say there's so many different body types on a track team, right? You have throwers, you have sprinters, and you have distance girls, all and HEPs. But you have all different types of body types. And so you're here and you're looking to your right and you have a sprinter girl with like shredded abs. And I'm like, don't compare, don't compare, don't compare. But it's really hard not to, right?
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, okay, you want to be your best self. Like you want to be your best self. And you do have to kind of get in that mode, which I told you, like I would write, I'm Ashton freaking Riner. And that's all I want to be. You just want to be the best version of yourself. You don't want to be the best version of your locker neighbor, right? So that was really hard. And in high school, you're doing the same thing. You're in locker rooms getting dressed with other girls and you're comparing. I will say you are comparing. That's just so hard not to do. So yeah, comparison is a thief of all joy. That's what it is. There you go.
Yeah. 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 And I love, so you said, oh, I wish I could go back and tell Ashton in high school to keep a journal, to write down. And just that little thing, I am Ashton freaking Riner. That seems to have deeper meaning to you than just like, you know, but it's like, I am who I am and I'm happy with that.
Yes.
And I sense that. And that, well, thank you so much, Ashton, for sharing that. That's amazing. That'll help a lot of people. And so one of our other principles is seek to bless, not to impress, to use your position as an athlete to help and to lift those around you, not just attract attention to yourself. How is your platform, being a national champion, being on a college track team at BYU that's very visible, and like their track team is blowing up. It's becoming more and more visible all the time. Amazing. You were kind of the pioneer. Let's just be honest, though. Yes. I mean, you know.
Yes, I was. So, thank you. Thank you.
But how have you been able to use your platform as an athlete to help and lift other people?
Yeah, we just came out that Deep Blue video, right? And telling people about my struggles. And I had so many people message me after that video came out. They're like, I had no idea. If you knew me, I'm like the most spunky, like happy go-getter kind of person. And so I hit it a lot. And so that was really hard for me to open up about my eating disorder, my depression, my anxiety, all of that, because people had no idea. So yeah, I love that like people, because I was vulnerable about that, people started reaching out. There were so many people saying, I have a daughter struggling in high school. We had to go seek medical attention for her because of her eating disorder. I've helped women in college right now help get over that and help them see like the beauty in themselves, and that it doesn't matter what you see on the scale. That really does not matter. I truly believe that. But it's just been amazing how many people have really reached out to me and said, thank you so much. Now I'm not as embarrassed about it. People are just women and men. I've had men reach out, say it's kind of embarrassing. Like they're embarrassed, but they're not as embarrassed now to seek help, which I love that I was able to impact that many people, which I didn't think I was going to.
Yeah. And that's what we tell athletes to realize. Everything that you do is more powerful because you're an athlete.
Yes.
That's a two-sided coin, right? Mm-hmm. Because if you're mean to people and you put others down and you bully, you do those things, you exclude, those things hurt really bad when you're an athlete in the spotlight is what we call it. But on the other side of that coin is when someone like you, a national champion, you know, a beautiful woman who's doing successful things in life, they look at you, and when you share that, they're like, oh, that's powerful to me. That deep blue is powerful, and I want to connect with that person. And I think that sports puts us in a position, like if you wouldn't have won the national championship and did track at BYU, you probably wouldn't have had a deep blue. You wouldn't have had a deep blue created about you. But because you are an athlete and you are in that spotlight, then it gives you that that microphone to speak out to a bunch of people. And so it's really cool, Ashton. I just have to say, like, thank you from probably thousands and thousands of people for being willing to use your spotlight to talk about these things, because it really will help people.
Yeah.
And
Thank
so
you.
that's wonderful. What advice would you give to a young person who, whether it's something like this, like you're doing now, sharing your story and your experience, or just someone who's at a high school that notices a lonely kid that doesn't seem to be connecting with anyone, that's on the outside looking in all the time, or someone on their own team that's just never there when the team is together, and they want to reach out to that person. They know they should, but they feel a little apprehension, like you probably felt. Do you have any advice to overcoming that apprehension of being vulnerable, reaching out to people, sharing your own story, connecting with others?
Yeah, I feel like I've never had an issue with that. I feel like I'm just a very outgoing person. I get that from my dad, and he kind of always told me, make friends with the kind of the outcasts. I went to a really small school, and the people that were on the varsity sports teams, they were also on the band, like the pep band. Like I was in the pep band and then math team and honor society, and like, so we just knew everyone, right? So I really never had trouble reaching out with them. I feel like maybe some people think, oh, I will be less cool if I reach out to those type of people. I will be an outcast. But you can really, if their light is dim over there and you really shine bright, like I always thought, I was told there's like a light about me. I was just a happy, bubbly person. Go shine your light on them and their light will shine as well. And so it's just, again, who cares what people think? Go make a friend. Go say, hey, come on. You look down right now. A lot of people think, oh, if I go over there, they're going to dim my light. Maybe they're only going to dim your light if you let them. So go bring them, be inclusive, bring them into your group. My parents always taught me that. So I really never struggled with that.
Yeah.
I've always been taught that.
Yeah. I thought of an analogy as you were sharing that's really cool, that we'll probably share with young people as we come up. It's like,
Okay.
when you have that light, we call it the sport light, that extra attention that's given athletes. It's like a candle, right? And some picture that by going over to another person that's an outcast, let's use that phraseology, that it's like dipping the candle in a bucket of water, and it's gonna dim your light. But it's really not. What I have found in my experience is it's lighting the candle. It's like you go and you share your fire with them, and that candle lights. And what happens is now there's more light.
Yeah.
So it doesn't put out your light, it brightens the whole world, right?
I
And makes
agree.
that brighter. And that's been your experience?
But yeah. I remember the day I threw 60 meters, which is a huge milestone for javelin throwers.
Uh-huh.
We had a great team of jab girls. We were ranked number 1 in the nation for like the average javelin throw. So said, yeah, I threw 60 or I don't know what I said. I don't remember, but I have to shout out my team right now because I didn't want to make it about me, because it's an individual sport, obviously, but I feel like all the spotlight was on me and no one else was getting the love on the girls team. So I kind of said, but hey, my whole team, we're ranked number 1 in the nation. That's how good everyone else is. I was very, very good. And my whole team is amazing. Like, let's not just stop with me. Let me shine my light on them real quick, because I felt bad. I was like, all this attention is on me. All this attention is on me when my teammates are doing amazing too. And I remember making a post about them because I was like, I don't want it all about me. They're doing so good. So just share the attention. You don't need it all.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Ashton, you're wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
For sharing everything today and taking time out of a time in your life when you're not feeling great all the time to share your story again. And we appreciate you taking time to be on the Especially for Athletes podcast today. As you've thought about these things and everything, I just love to give one last, if there's if there's anything else that came to your mind that you're like, oh, I wish I would have said this. I don't care what the topic is. Is there anything else on your heart that you're like, well, I do want to share this with people?
Yeah, it's just there's adversity is just part of life. It really is. I've come to learn that you don't want to say why me, why me. I used to say why me, but why not me? I'd much rather have all those things come down on me than someone I love. So why not me? And another part is if you are ever struggling with an eating disorder, reach out to your friends. And there's just something about being able to talk about it openly. Again, people they're just embarrassed of an eating disorder, and it's an addiction. Hey, it's an addiction. And people think, oh no, it's just an eating disorder. People don't understand. No, an eating disorder is an addiction, and something about just opening up to someone to talk to. Like, I had my husband, luckily, to talk about it. At the beginning, he didn't really understand, but it was just nice to just get it all out there and be like, this is what I'm struggling with. Just talk to someone. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, everybody, for joining the Especially for Athletes podcast today. As always, keep your eyes up and do the work.
Thank you for joining the Especially for Athletes podcast. To learn more about Especially for Athletes organization, get a copy of our book, The Sportlight, or to bring our program to your team, school, business, or organization, visit us at especiallyforathletes.org.